Hello, are you responsible for security in your company or trying to comply with NIS2 or ISO 27001 regulations? This all with limited budgets and while your teams are already overloaded? In this video, we will show you how not to work harder but work smarter using the Brainframe DEFEND Aikido solution. You'll learn how to efficiently identify, prioritize, and fix vulnerabilities in your own code and third-party code. We'll show you to quickly identify and fix critical misconfigurations and vulnerabilities in your infrastructure, such as cloud or containers. And last but not least, how the in-app WAF both protects and gives you full visibility in your application and API activity. Stay tuned and let us help you focus on what really matters. Throughout this video, we will show you how the solution completely integrates in your SDLC, your software development lifecycle, from the very beginning, when you're planning, into the coding, when you're building, testing, releasing, into the deployment, and then the actual run. Different elements which we will look at in more detail during this video. The big advantage of taking the combination with Brainframe GRC is that you would have your general manual policies and procedures that every company has, combined with many automated controls that come from the Defend module, so that you have peace of mind and you can focus on what really matters. So let's dive into a live demo of the solution. First of all, what Aikido will do and ask you in the beginning is link up the different repositories, for example, GitHub or GitLab, link to your containers or container repositories, for example, Docker Hub or AWS ECR, your different clouds. So that could be literally the connection to AWS or Azure, your different virtual machines that are connected with an agent, and then the different domains where you want to be able to connect the automatic scans, the DAST, and even a bit more complicated to set up, but definitely worth it. It's the integrated firewall into your application. This will go very quickly through the setup. So you will literally link up your repository, potentially link a repository to the actual domain, which will then allow the engine, a reachability engine, to fully understand how everything works. And you will be able to activate per repository that is linked to your account what you actually want to be scanned. Same thing with the clouds. You connect your different cloud accounts. This will be in read only, so definitely no risk on that regard. It will collect all the information, which I will show you soon, on vulnerabilities for bad configurations, or also different information that already the security features from your different cloud providers already report to you, but like that nicely in one place, prioritized. Same thing with containers, domain names, and we have many different integrations, as you can see here, that can also be enabled. One that will be typically enabled is your task. So you will link up to Jira, for example, or other task management systems, where you can immediately track all the vulnerabilities and the jobs around it for your staff. Okay. You can also link it up to your continuous integration, which will allow you to automatically block different merges along to what you need. The key power of Aikido, and this is a demo repository with many repositories inside. So demo account with many repositories inside, and you see here 80, or what is this? It's 60. The key thing from Aikido is the fact that it reduces what is really important. So you have 3,230 issues or findings, which it reduces already to only 911. So 70% is what we generally see, allowing you to focus on issues that are really problematic, and also for which there are public exploits and that are reachable into your application. You will have a nice view on the work you actually done, which also will come back into the reporting. You will see what issues have been added recently, which is very important because you might have code and you might have solved all your vulnerabilities, but the market and the attackers, they keep finding new things in existing code. And Aikido is working very hard to track all CVEs, and on top of that, also create new CVEs of findings that they have. So what are we going to scan? If we take the repositories, here you will see a prioritized list specific for the priorities, but it will do open source dependency scanning, very important, so you can see all the log files. They will be scanned on the actual versions that are being used into your packages, so that they can see if there are any CVEs that are related to it. You will also see that there it will automatically scan your current branches, but also the historic branches where often there are still active vulnerabilities, secrets stored, which is very important. License management, they will check all your different licenses to make sure that there are no GPL, which would indicate that you actually need to make your own code source open source. So that's a huge, often overlooked vulnerability. Or risk rather. Then there will be the classic static code analysis, where you can also make specific rules, but in general what it will do is it has the whole engine to analyze different vulnerabilities that are typically done in your own code, and you see all the languages that are supported. There are really many that will definitely make sense to you to work on. So I don't know if here, so with the checks coming back, very important also the infrastructure as a code. So what does that mean? It's all your CloudFormation or Terraform or other infrastructure as a code, even Dockerfile, they will be analyzed. You will have different checks that are done around this. And 1 second here, these are the different rules. So they will also be linked to the configuration of your cloud, so in the infrastructure. With malware detection, that is going very deep into your code to make sure that there's no malware that got into it. So look at it like a sort of virus scanner. We have the mobile issues, so that's also for specific to Android, iOS. If you have a mobile application, by simply linking up your GitHub repository, they will be able to find these issues. And then you have access control specific to your GitHub account, for example, that will also be checked. So this is just repositories. And already look at here, if we now take a first issue, we'll quickly see this is because of the test.com, this Git repo. I click on it and I see what the issue is. I can immediately look at more details where I see, okay, this issue is out of SLA. In my settings, I can configure the critical ones if I want them within 7 days, for example, the high within a month, or whatever related to your domain. You can modify the criticity, because might be that because of what they found, it is considered critical, but if it is completely closed off from the internet, then it would not be a case. So you could modify the severity around this. And like this, you will see some issues. I don't know if there is an issue here. Some issues, they also come with specific training to explain the findings. Let me try to find one like that. If we find here, yes, this is one where we see a potential SQL injection. So this is what it found. It will show you exactly the analysis. The analysis is in the code. We see why there is a potential SQL injection. Here in this case is because we take the parameter directly from the input, which is bad practice, and we don't even filter it. So this is pure SQL injection. You get guidance for your developers. You can even, through the solution, generate a fix which will make a PR for you. So your developer is even losing less time. Important for your developers to understand how it works. You have this fully integrated as the education module that will train you on why SQL injection happens and what is important to avoid it. And this comes in all kind of different vulnerabilities. You see here how that works. Now moving on to containers. Containers is very similar, so it will find vulnerabilities. It will do many checks. Also in your containers, vulnerability, license, end of runtime, end of life runtimes. So, but also different, I've seen in different containers where it's taken from another container which was actually containing multiple outdated source code. So let's say you take in your Docker file a from Node.js and then an older version that has been built and that is on public GitHub, then it will tell you explicitly like this is outdated and you need to update it, and it will guide you how to do that. All prioritized according to your usage. So I will not spend much more time on this, but it's super easy to connect to your registry. You can even link it to public registers and it will scan that and will give you into your feed. I didn't show that yet, but your feed actually will summarize everything together from the different areas of vulnerability. Cloud, where are we here? This is similar again. Here it will really check the different your root account, all the rules that are typically important to configure. Do you have two permissive security group? Is your IAM rules? This is very difficult to do in general. Your IAM rules, are they well configured? S3 buckets, the biggest source of breaches, they will automatically scan that and give you a compliant or non-compliant check. So many rules that will be done automatically, also for GPC, also for Azure. There are many rules that are there. So you will see this is very powerful, and you will see them come together in the feed prioritized. VMs are very specific to an instance where it will work with an agent, and you connect the VM, and even you can do agentless if you want, because in AWS and Azure you can do it agentless, or you put, if you have an on-prem instance, you can link it with the agent. So all of the three are pretty easy to do. This license requires, this requires a license pro of the pro instead of the basic for the VM scanning. But once we go inside, you see, okay, this agent is not good. We have all these things that are not configured correctly, and you can immediately either also create a task, link it to your developer task or your security team task. This is all integrated into the platform. Okay, so what we're also going to do is show you the domains. So you will have your different domains that will be constantly scanned with a dynamic code analysis, so DAST. So where it will find different vulnerabilities like content security policies, if your HSDS is enabled or not, and it will do many checks, like JWT token has weak secret, for example. You see if there is an N file public, HD access file public, all these low-hanging fruit that are really important. Let's also go in the APIs. So as soon as you have an API, it will also analyze the API, and it will discover, I'm not sure if I can show that here in the resources. So it will find different elements of libraries that you're loading, so it can cross-check basically what you're doing within your domain in reality compared to what your repository is doing. And it will again do all these checks. So if we take one example here, server accepts tokens with non-algorithm, which is a known issue. It explains the issue, and you can immediately here again generate a task, or even like adjust severity or ignore it or snooze it. So then the last thing that I want to show you from the actual scans is design firewall. Inside here, you can connect up an application by simple connecting it either with JavaScript. You see all these are supported. For example, with JavaScript, it's a simple npm package. With Python and PHP, they're simple packages that will be installed. So it's an agentless setup. You link it to a repository so that it can more intelligently map the vulnerabilities and test it. And from there on, once you have the installation done, let's say here we do a test, and we're going to whatever we link it to, you get simply the npm package that needs to be installed here, and you have what you need to do in your code, and that's it, with a specific token. So let's look at a live example from the list here. Let's take this PHP application, for example. Here you see different events that happened in the past, what was blocked, why it was blocked, what was the payload that caused it to be blocking. And from there, you can go into the different firewall configuration. Do you want it in detection mode, which we recommend, of course, in the beginning, so you can see what would have been blocked, or you go to actual blocking mode. You can already, by default, block all the torrent Tor activity and several bots that are there blocking IPs that are known threat actors, which is maintained by the solution. And you can even block specific countries, which is a must-have today, unfortunately, for certain attacking countries. Then, very powerful is the fact that you can fully identify all the endpoints that are being used in your application. What we see typically is that more than 30% of the endpoints are simply not known anymore by and maintained by developers, and they could easily be blocked. So what you see here is all these popping up with the request method, and you can go very specific to make a rule around this. For example, if I want to create a rate limiting, I can say this endpoint can only be connected to every 100 times per minute, for example. And here you see the actual requests overview on this endpoint so that you can look at more traffic. You can also configure specifically for and I think that's the case in here, you can specifically configure an IP allow list, or even just disable the protection for a specific endpoint. So think about the flexibility. They have different versions of the configuration. I'll not go into detail in there. What is important to know is that you can basically either add any method manually, but as soon as Zen will detect new routes, they will also be added here. And this is perfect to identify old IPs that are actually, or endpoint paths that are not used anymore. This goes together with the integration where you can actually tell in your source code, like, look, this user now logged in, so I can exactly see this Noah, for example, he had a specific activity which will also come back in the events, and we can explicitly block this user if we see constant malicious activity. How to set this up, again, relatively easy, depending on what system that you're using, you can integrate it. Then you will see that there are different instances. That's where your actually application will be installed. Imagine you have a cloud solution that is auto-scaling. There will be multiple instances. You can see them. And on top of that, this is one of the most difficult challenges. That is, what can your application actually connect to? So you can identify all the different host names that it's collecting to. Again, very easy to configure, and you will see that this immediately populates the environment. This gives you different stats around how the firewall is and all your activity on your application. So very powerful. Last thing I want to show you is the reporting. So, and this comes to the part where we are really showing you the trend over time. Of course, this is a demo, so the vulnerabilities only grow. The opposite should be the case in your production environment. You will see different reports that you can generate specific to ISO, specific to different requirements, but also the license. So where the priority license issues are, malware detection, different components where you have malware inside. You see, these are NPM packages that have been detected. This is probably priority number one if you find any of these. Your frameworks and runtime that are outdated, also very important to keep track, especially in ISO 271. You need to keep track of your end of life runtimes. Then we move to the SLA. So first with the SLA, you can configure inside of the SLA how you want critical issues, high priority issues, when they need to be solved. And you can actually even create tickets around it immediately. What will happen with this is they will come on top of your feed, and like that, you can get the report of your SLA. All your issue here, everything will be out of SLA, I guess, in the demo, but you get the ID. So these are all, it categorizes them like less than 2 weeks past SLA. So that's recently detected vulnerabilities. I don't know if there are too many, but you will have those that are longer. Here there are too many, but typically you will only see less than 2 weeks, less than a month. So based on your SLA configuration. Then the next step comes, which is very powerful here, all your OWASP top 10. So it takes all the vulnerabilities that are that have been found, and it's going to map them to your OWASP. And this is immediately going to be the link towards Brainframe, where you will see that basically all these automated controls in your cloud, in your source code, in your domains, everything, so many things that you need to do that is actually a lot of work in ISO, will be directly linked inside of Brainframe. So if we just want to, inside of Brainframe, we have, for example, the ISO, and we want, in this case, let's take here access control. So access control, which is a, doesn't have currently automated controls. We have a procedure that is linked to it. What I want to do here in this case is simply select the different standards. In this case, we have in the demo, we have the ISO control. So let me show you better this one. So this would be the ISO controls. Let's say here, probably have something with access control. So you see, this is what we have inside of Aikido automatically controlled. So you see MFA, check admin checks. We have one here with no security contact has been set in our cloud account. So something that you probably would overlook. You see all kind of configurations. As soon as I simply take here also the access control, it's going to directly link this inside of Brainframe. Before we had just one control, we were at 100% coverage. Because this is a manual maturity control. Here we have many more, where there's 1, 2, 3 failing that is coming from here, and we will immediately see and calculate that inside of 88% is covering. So as soon as we fix these 3, we would be at 100% for this requirement. As soon as we fix that for all the different requirements from the standard, we will see that we're at 100%. Super easy. Also in the reporting, these kind of controls will be included. And that ends us with the feed overview, where you will see from the whole coverage and all the vulnerabilities that have been found, it will completely show you the priority, including how much time is estimated to work on it, who you assign to it, for example, through Jira, and what kind of vulnerability is with quick filtering. If I only want open source vulnerability, I can quickly do this. Super intuitive and focused. With auto fixes, so it will show you a list of all the items for which it can simply make a PR for auto fixing. It will show you all the things that you snoozed, but also those that have been ignored. So remember, early in the beginning, I said 70% will be fully reduced because it's either not reachable or there's no public exploit, or that's the reachability engine. In this case, you will see that it really also gives you that access. So you can open all of them here, or in your feed, in your general feed, you can simply say all findings, and then it will show you everything. And that concludes the presentation of our Brainframe Defend Aikido solution.